set. I can't stop hustling every minute, every second. Can't stop.
All the news from WWE this week. Backstage heat on Mercedes Mone, and a familiar face makes a debut in Impact Wrestling. This and more on this week's episode of A Shot of Brew. What's going on, party people? This is Bros, Brews, and Botches with A Shot of Brew, and this is your boy Yellaboi, back like I never left. And what a crazy week we've had in the world of wrestling. Remember, this is A Shot of Brew, where we give you a shot of news from the wrestling world, just a taste from the wrestling world this week. But before we get going, make sure that you go and like, share, and subscribe, and make sure that you're clicking that notification bell to never miss when the bros post something for the people, you people. And we're trying to make our way to 1K subscribers, so please help us do that. But without further ado, let's get to the news. So here's everything that we know about this week with WWE, the potential sale, the resignation, all that good stuff. So last week on the show, I mentioned that WWE enlisted in the services of JP Morgan to help foster a potential sale. Now, we additionally talked about potential buyers of the promotion, like Disney, NBC Universal, remember those? Now, on Tuesday, January 10th, in a post, then CEO or co-CEO Stephanie McMahon announced her stepping down from her role and her resignation from WWE. And if you look, we shared that on Instagram as well, so be checking the Bros, Brews, and Botches Instagram, because we be coming with the news. Now, this placed Nick Khan as the sole CEO. Now, soon after it was announced about Stephanie, it was then announced that Vince McMahon was unanimously voted as the chairman of the board. Coincidence? Maybe. Now, it was a few hours right before NXT's New Year's Evil that rumors began about a potential sale, and the purchaser or the buyer being the Saudi Arabian investment fund. And remember, I talked about those guys last week as well. And so this rumor began very quietly on social media, and then it just blossomed into the Saudi Arabians or Saudi Arabia purchasing WWE. Now, I'll say for myself, for the bros, we didn't post anything about a potential sale because, well, frankly, I didn't see anything that was being posted by, like Forbes or any of those individuals, CNBC. They didn't post anything about a potential sale, and I think that would make big news since WWE is publicly traded. However, that didn't happen, so the bros didn't post anything. Now, Wednesday morning, after all that, all those rumors about the sale were immediately refuted. I will go into it, but it's a long list of things that had happened, but it might have been suggested that Saudi Arabia was possibly in the process of doing something or doing business with WWE, but it wasn't a sale. Now, after that, it was noted that Saudi Arabia was in the contention of purchasing, and WWE was still in the process of fielding possible buyers. Another rumor that had sprouted out around Wednesday/Thursday, I'd say Thursday, was that Shad and Tony Khan, of AEW, were also amongst the names of potential buyers. Now, there was a report from the Wrestling Observer in regards to Stephanie McMahon's departure that reported that there were issues between Stephanie and Vince working together. Who would have thought? Now, this came after Vince dismantled the team that Stephanie had assembled to help run the show. You know, she had put together a team that she was confident in, and Vince went right behind and just dismantled that. So it was reported that Stephanie left after this disheartened and frustrated. Now, moving back to the WWE news, on Friday, January 13th, it was reported that there was a talent meeting held by Triple H prior to the SmackDown taping. Now, this meeting was used to calm the talent about their creative futures. Now, Fightful.com reported that Triple H had told talent that none of what was going on with Vince would change the creative process that he has in place, and that Triple H has the final say in creative. Despite Vince McMahon being able to give some input, it was all the way down to Triple H being the final say. Now, as normal, when we receive any new information about what's going on with this, because that's a lot in itself, and possible sale and everything, when we find out more, you'll find out more either here or again on our IG page. Look, I'm trying to, boost our IG page right now. So if you're not following our IG, make sure you're going on there and follow that. But from backstage with WWE to backstage in New Japan Pro Wrestling, is there backstage heat with Mercedes Mone? Now, we reported last week that Mercedes Mone, or formerly known as Sasha Banks, made her New Japan Pro Wrestling debut at January 4th's Wrestle Kingdom 17. Mercedes, despite being there for only a short period, like a week, may have upset some people within New Japan without knowing. Now, following her debut, Mone had been sharing photos on social media of her time training with other Japanese Joshi stars. Now, Dave Meltzer, again from the Wrestling Observer, wrote, quote, there were people because of the belief Mone has been promoting Sendai Girls and Tokyo Joshi Pro more than Stardom and the IWGP Women's title. She posted photos from the Sendai Girls dojo saying she wanted to wrestle women that worked for the promotion and Tokyo Joshi Pro. The feeling is that now that she's with Bushiroad, she should be only promoting Bushiroad companies in Japan. End quote. Understand Bushiroad is who owns New Japan Pro Wrestling and Stardom. So it's kind of Japanese culture that you honor those types of things. A lot of Japanese wrestlers have loyalty to the companies that have built up their character, have put them on pretty much. So Meltzer went on to say that maybe no one had explained the mentality in Japan to Mone. Now, Mone and Kairi meet February 18th in San Jose for Battle in the Valley for the IWGP Women's Championship. So maybe by then they'll kind of get some things across, but from what I understand, I don't think they're too worried about it over in New Japan with all this, because of the fact that Mone brought in Mone, as in money, dollar, ducats, Fetty, Watt, all that stuff. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. Now, moving back over here to the States, over in old Impact Wrestling, Friday's Hard to Kill pay-per-view happened this past Friday. Now, familiar face made an unlikely debut during the Moose versus Joe Hendry match. Who made that superstar be, you may say? Former WWE wrestler, competitor, Santino Marella makes his shock debut as an authority figure on the show. Now, he came in donning a jacket with DOA on it and a badge, and he announced that he is the new director of authority in Impact. Now, Morella's real name, Anthony Corelli, was able to maintain that Santino Marella name moniker, as WWE had essentially let the trademark of Santino Marella go without renewing it. So obviously Anthony Corelli picked it up. He got an offer from Impact, and now he's in Impact. Also, I want to mention that Frankie Kazarian of AEW had got out of his contract and made the announcement on Impact as well that he is now a full-fledged member of the Impact Wrestling team. So that also happened on there. So I don't want anybody to think that I ran right past it and went over that. But speaking of other debuts, another former WWE superstar will be making their AEW debut on Dynamite on Wednesday. See how I connected those things? Now, it was announced last Wednesday that Bryan Danielson, American Dragon, who has to defeat all competitors until February 8th in order to challenge MJF for the AEW World Championship, will be facing none other than NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Kushida in a one-on-one match on Wednesday. Now, Kushida left WWE in April of 2022, and he returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling to reportedly, he said that he wanted to end his career there in New Japan. However, Kushida has been seen throughout the US in indie shows, and most recently, he was on the previously talked about Hard to Kill Impact Wrestling's pay-per-view this past Friday in their Countdown pre-show, winning a Battle Royal, I believe. But talking about Bryan Danielson of late has been having some dream matches. It's been like a renaissance of Bryan Danielson. Ooh, try to say that 10 times fast. Bryan Danielson, and with some of the matches he's having, Bandito, he's getting Kushida. Like, these are dream matches. And for all of y'all who haven't tuned in to watch some of these Bryan Danielson matches, I suggest you go back, watch the one on Wednesday, because it'll be a heck of a match. But with all this being said, I think it's just inevitable with all these matches that Danielson must win, that he will have his title match with MJF at Revolution in March. So we hope to see some banger matches up until that point. But in our final story of the day, we'll say goodbye to a former NXT UK women's wrestler. So on January 14th, the former UK or NXT UK wrestler Jenny made a social media post that stated, quote, "After a long time away due to an injury, I have made the decision to hang up my fashionable boots," end quote. Jenny began in the WWE system in 2017 and wrestled for the UK brand in NXT. She also is in the current relationship with Gunther, formerly known as Walter. So obviously, due to a bunch of injury and such, she's made the decision to just hang it up and end her career in wrestling, unfortunately. So here the bros want to wish Jenny the best as she goes into the next phase of her career outside of pro wrestling. And with that, that was the news. As always, you guys, we want to thank you for always coming in. Make sure that you're liking. Again, make sure you're commenting on the page. That's the only way that we can help our algorithm overlord and make sure that we're getting the good news of the bros throughout the interwebs. Also, I want to say again a big thank you to Elevated Creations, who is graciously having some merch, some of our merch on their site. So if you want some Bros, Brews, and Botches merch, make sure you're going to Elevated Creations. There's a link in the description. There's a link in our link tree that goes and takes you right to that merch. So we want to thank Elevated Creations. Also, if you like the music that you're currently hearing right now, make sure that you're somewhere down here. I think right about here, we got the album DJ L Spade. The track is called Hustle. He's on all listening sites: Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, all the areas where you can listen to the music. Make sure you're going and checking DJ L Spade. This is from the album El Spadia. Make sure you're going to check that out. Make sure I got all my plugs. Not going to go through the whole thing again. I told y'all last week we have a LinkedIn, a link tree, or it's not LinkedIn, link tree that will have all of our social media and all of that on there. So please make sure that you're going, checking us out individually, checking out our Instagram, Twitch, TikTok, getting you some merch. It makes great gifts. Look, Valentine's Day is coming up, and what a better gift to give to your significant other than a Bros, Brews, and Botches hoodie. I mean, really, who wouldn't want to wear this merch? So, thank you guys. As always, please continue to follow, like, share, all that good stuff. And we're only going to bring you more of what we're doing as we continue to get this love. But I would do the Kenny Omega thing, but I figured I will get a big copyright on the Kenny Omega thing. So, as always, you guys, we love you. And until next time, I'm out.
And then get it in it, homie, face of the greatest is here. Know that it's clear. From sunrise to sunset, I can't stop hustling. Every minute, every second, can't stop hustling. From sunrise to sunset,